Greeks, and of course the Romans, whose lasting monuments and civilizing influence still reverberates around the world to this day. In fact, this was the same culture that created the concept of an underground world, a kingdom where at least some of the gods lived, hidden from the view of human beings. It was this belief system that caused the Greeks from the island of Euboea to found the settlement of Cumae close to Lake Avernus, west of Naples, around the 8th century BC. Because they did not offer any harm, they were tolerated by the locals. The lake is a natural formation created when the lava flowed out of the magma chamber of a now extinct volcano, near what is referred to as the Phlegraean Fields. The Phlegraean Fields, which are still partly active, were a large supervolcano containing 24 craters, most of which are now submerged. One of the craters, called Solfatara, still emits sulphurous gases, and according to Roman mythology was the home of Vulcan, their god of fire. Because of the ongoing low-level activity, this arid and otherwise unwelcoming zone still has many active fumaroles and hot springs, all of which helped to make the area ideal for believers in occult and magical religious beliefs. In ancient times, these beliefs involved making human blood sacrifices to pacify the gods of the underworld. The location was made famous by Virgil in his epic poem the Aeneid, but it was the Greeks who made the association between the forbidding nature of the place and the gods and demons of the underworld. For the Greeks, it embodied the very essence of the grim, foreboding gate to hell. The Tyrrhenian Sea and the beautiful islands of Capri and Ischia can be seen from the rim of the volcano surrounding the lake, and its name, Avernus, which is Latin, derives from the Greek aeonus, meaning without birds, because it is believed that the birds fell from the sky if they flew over it, due to the toxic sulfuric vapours coming from beneath its surface. Typical of ancient non-monotheistic beliefs, the ancient Greeks and Romans had a range of deities and assumed that remarkable natural phenomena such as thunder, lightning, typhoons and violent storms, etc., were due to the gods expressing their displeasure at the fallible humans. According to their pantheon of gods, thunder and lightning were produced by Zeus, and Poseidon caused the storms and earthquakes. As with many ancient legends associated with mysterious lakes, Avernus was believed to be bottomless, and it was also referred to as the Styx. According to tradition, the Styx was a river spanning the chasm between the earth and the underworld of Hades, and the souls of the newly dead had to cross the Styx to get there. Normally this was in a ferry manned by the eerie figure of Charon, the boatman and guide. There was another legendary river used for this purpose in the north of Greece. It was called the Acheron, also known as the River of Woe. The belief of those who lived close to Avernus was so strong, fearing that all sorts of grief and woe would assail them, they would not even drink from a convenient stream that ran from the lake to the sea. Although he did not use the specific name, it is believed that Homer, legendary author of the Iliad and the Odyssey, mentions Lake Avernus in the latter of these two works. In the Odyssey, which was written in the 8th century BC, King Odysseus set out on a quest and at one point met ghosts at a temple located on the lake shore beside the presumed entrance to Hades. Hades is a generic name because according to legend, Hades was the god of the dead and ruler of the underworld, and his brothers were Zeus and Poseidon. They rebelled against the old gods, the Titans, and defeated them in an earth-shaking battle. After overcoming the Titans, they took command of the cosmos. Hades was given the underworld, Zeus received the heavens, and Poseidon the seas. One of the early chroniclers, Virgil, specifically mentions Avernus in the Aeneid, an epic poem which describes the legend of Aeneas, a Trojan who was the son of the goddess Aphrodite. He travelled to Italy and founded the Roman Empire. The name Avernus crops up in one passage in the poem in Book 6, where it says, "Easy is the descent to Avernus, for the door to the underworld lies open both day and night. But to retrace your steps and return to the breezes above, that's the task, that's the toil." In the Odyssey, Aeneas enters the underworld intending to speak to his dead father, but encounters an oracle or sibyl, who became entranced and told him he had a glorious future ahead of him, but there were important tasks he must complete before he could enter the underworld and speak to his father. In one of the tasks, he is required to obtain a golden leaf from woods beside the lake as an offering to Proserpina, the queen of Hades. Aeneas journeyed to the woods, found a golden leaf, and went back to the underworld, and the oracle took him to a cave near the lake. Here they sacrificed 4 bulls. The bull's blood was collected and the entrails cast into a fire to honour the god of the dead. There followed a lengthy series of ceremonies and rituals, and they were finally permitted to enter Hades. Although nowadays this is almost impossible to believe, in this far-off time belief in oracles and prophets, an underworld inhabited by monsters and demons, was absolute and was treated as fact. Therefore, due to the culture, oracles were commonplace and would have been represented around Lake Avernus. This was true of practically any location that had been created through volcanic activity and produced a steady stream of volcanic gases that could help produce altered states of consciousness. Other locations noted for their oracles include perhaps one of the most famous at Delphi in Greece. Here the oracle was known as Pythia, who was the high priestess of the temple of Apollo and the oracle of Delphi. Although Delphi is not located on a volcano, nevertheless sources of intoxicating vapours have been identified that would have induced altered states of awareness in anyone exposed to them, especially the oracle, who needed to achieve this state to produce the prophecies. The precise location at Avernus where the oracle presided is uncertain, but in 1932 an archaeologist, Amedeo Maiuri, famous for his exploratory work at Pompeii, carried out excavations in the area of Cumae and discovered what he believed to be the Cave of the Oracle. It certainly had all the necessary features. The cave was part of a 140 metres long gallery that opened out into 3 niches. In one of them there was a stone bench on which it is likely that the oracle sat. In common with similar subterranean locations, it possesses remarkable acoustic properties, but in this case it also contains an opening leading to the Temple of Apollo, which is directly above it. Temples to Apollo were found in various locations. Delphi was another, and in this case it was also thought to have been used as a Roman bathhouse. The use of acoustics in ancient sites is almost certainly not accidental, and is often found as a feature of how many of these places of worship were designed. Our forefathers were well aware of various kinds of phenomena, and acoustics were intended to induce a trance-like, meditative state in anyone who was inside, and the oracles and their assistants would have been well aware of this. It is thought that the sounds produced specific standing waves, both underground and in many surface constructions, and were intended to induce out-of-body experiences in those who encountered them. This technique was quite deliberate, and depending on when it was used, has been called either archaeoacoustics and paleoacoustics. Other locations where this phenomenon has been found include the Hypogeum of Hal Saflieni in Malta and the Mayan temples and pyramids at Chichen Itza in the Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico. In the case of Chichen Itza, this is demonstrated when standing in front of one of the sides of the massive Kukulkan temple, which is also a pyramid. If you clap your hands facing the stairway leading to the top of the pyramid, the sounds that come back are identical to the chirping call of the Quetzal bird, a bird the Mayans held sacred. Another demonstration of this is found if someone shouts while standing facing the pyramid. The sound that is reflected back is a piercing shriek. Another sonic oddity of this construction is found when someone goes to the top and talks normally. Their voice can be clearly heard some distance from the pyramid, a feature that would have been exploited by the Mayan priests. The same or similar techniques are now known to have been used in the hypogeum of Hal Saflieni, but in this case probably for the purpose of healing, since it was believed that certain sound frequencies can assist in the healing process. In addition to this, various consciousness-altering substances were used as part of the process and were intended to allow the oracle or shaman, depending on the culture in some cases, they were effectively interchangeable to obtain information from the spirits of the dead or perhaps the gods themselves. However, it has been convincingly demonstrated that similar techniques were used on structures that are above ground, especially at the iconic World Heritage Site of Stonehenge. Because of its circular structure and the huge smooth stones used in its construction, it reflects sound inwards and accentuates it at a specific point, although this can be between 95 Hz and 120 Hz. In this case, the frequency of the sound is 111 Hz. At this frequency, the brain automatically temporarily allows the right hand lobe to take over, and the right brain is responsible for intuition, creativity, and inducing a trance state. This is what almost certainly occurred at the oracular site at Kumai, close where the oracle received her visions and made her prophecies. A further enhancement was due to the presence of a tunnel system with an underground stream of sulphurous water intended to represent the river Styx, so anyone who visited the oracle in her underground consulting room would indeed have thought they had entered Hades, the land of the dead. It is reasonable to assume that the beliefs of the ancient Greeks and Romans were superstitions and nothing more. Perhaps not, because it would be wrong and unfair to dismiss these legends out of hand. Nowadays there are tales of alien abduction and interaction with extraterrestrials, sometimes in caverns deep underground. These accounts crop up surprisingly often, but they are sneered at. Yet for some, especially those who believe they have had these experiences, they are absolutely real. Might our ancestors have experienced something similar? Perhaps time will tell.